In this section, we would like to give an analysis of reliability, which is, I think, one of the first things that you should be doing if you're doing a quantitative study. But before we go to that, I would like to uh, give sort of an opinion about reliability. Number one, reliability does not have to follow, uh, the levels that are usually given in books. Like you should have a zero point 0.7 reliability, and if you have a zero point 0.9, it's high and all that. The problem with matching the requirement of high reliability is if you have like a 0.995 reliability. What does that mean? It only means that the result of the covariances of the means of your questions are almost identical. So what is left to analyze in those kinds of questions? Especially, I think in uh, performances survey, customer survey, and pretty much the surveys that are being done in business and all that. It's kind of tricky. A good reliability for me is if you have like a point 0.5, point 0.6, point 0.7 maybe. But if you have like a point 0.8, point 0.9, it means that your data are pretty much, highly correlated with one another. And if you have a data like that, then it's as if you are just merely repeating your questions over and over and over again, and there's no need to analyze anymore. I mean, no need to multiply your questions. So, especially in business researches, business statistics, you don't really have to have so high reliability. Um, but you look at reliability so that you know that there's nothing wrong with, for example, the direction of your questions. So that when you code the question, uh, positively worded question, uh, it should be consistent. Like for example, if you have a question like, uh, my boss usually gives me positive feedback, or yeah, so and then your second question would be, my boss motivates me. And then you'll come up with a question like, I hate my boss. If you will look at the reliability of those lines of questions, it would be that the third question will not correlate with the first two questions, because the higher the rating for the first two questions, the lower will it be for the third questions. If the events or the phenomenon in the office will be consistent, right? So those are the things that I think you should be thinking when you look at the data given by reliability. So it's not just like a magical number that would just fall from the sky and then you'll say, hey, I have a high reliability. It's not like that. So you really have to look at the things that are being spoken of by your reliability question, reliability results. So, of course, in places like psychology, especially in clinical psychology, where you want to have reliability of the questions, consistency of the question, of the answers of patients and all that, then that doesn't apply. And that's why I'm always saying that reliability, especially for psychometric evaluation, I think it would be best for stuff in psychology and psychometrics and all that, but never with business, economics, and all that, because fact is stranger than fiction. So everything that happens around us are pretty much non-consistent. I mean, you have to look into the inconsistencies, and the research questions would sometimes be found there. Okay, so I'm sorry about the very long introduction, but going through, for example, in this kind of data, usually you get the reliability, the analysis for reliability um, in survey questions. So in this case, maybe we look at the reliability of all these questions. Uh, Again, I will not look into the grouping of these questions anymore. I would just like to share with you how to do it. So basically, just go to analyze and then scale and then reliability analysis. And this is the reason why I said that it is best to code it as Q1-1, Q2-2. So because you will be able to know which questions are grouped together. So for example, um, you were given that this question 1, 2, 3, and 4, for example. I think it's not 4. So question 1, 2, 3, and 4 are part of the reliability questions, the domain that we would like to know the reliability of. So when you put it on the right side, what will happen is that you will click on statistics and just click scale, and then you can check the inter-item correlation covariances, and so that we will know the problem if there exists. And then you continue, and when you press OK, so you will have to just wait on the reliability results. So as I said, the reliability here is 0.523533. So this may be inconsistent for some books that we have, but then you have to go through the inter-item correlation matrix to find out what's wrong with these kind of questions. Like if you will notice, of course, you will see that diagonal will be 1 because of course you will perfectly correlate with yourself. So developing rapport, of course they're perfectly correlated because they're identical. But if you analyze the correlation of the first question with the second question is very low, 0.272. But then there's a problem like this. This means that first question does not correlate, and even has a negative relationship with question number 3. So in this kind of a situation, you can decide whether to include question number 3 as part of the domain, or just leave it as is, because maybe you'll say, oh, no, it's okay because it's only one, and after all the reliability is still high. Okay, going to the second one, there's nothing wrong, but the relationship is low, at 0.2 and all that. Personality differences is low. I think this is what is not what does not fit here. As you can see, it is negatively related to question number 1, related somehow to question number 2. It's 0.269, so the relationship is low but tolerable. But then again, very low relationship with question number 4. So if this were a psychometric evaluation or a development of a questionnaire or a test material, then you will have to to decide whether to remove question number 3 because it simply does not fit with the rest of them. Okay, so those are the decisions that you have to make early on, right? So inter-item covariance, pretty much the same. You see negative here, so you will have to look at that, uh, so you will realize what's wrong with this question, or maybe the question seems to be unclear to the respondents. So basically, what reliability does for us, is first of all try to find out whether the responses are consistent, or whether there's something wrong with our questions, and whether it's positively directed or negatively directed. Those are the things that you have to look into. Alright, so that's the result of our inter-item reliability, inter-item correlation, inter-item covariance, Pretty much we have a point 0.5 cronbach alpha. For some, this is not good, but if it's a business paper, if it does not nothing to do with psychology and all that, then maybe it's tolerable. So you can go right at it.